Ronel Blanco, I think we have to go with him first, right? Our first no-hitter of 2024 came from Ronel Blanco. He's got a couple seasons under his belt in the majors, not a ton of experience for a 30-year-old. He is somewhat interesting, though, as much as he seemed to come out of nowhere. I mean, last year he kind of split time between the rotation and the bullpen and had a 15.7% swinging strike rate in those two roles. So that's an elite number. In that no-hitter against the Blue Jays, his changeup was his most used pitch, and that pitch he used it about 10% of the time last year. So he could be working on a new pitch mix that could elevate his potential as well. If he control, he doesn't throw many strikes. That's an issue. The track record in the minors, while he has missed bats, is up and down, I would say. But I think the stuff is pretty good. He's obviously going to have a lot of offensive backing on the Astros. So I think Ronel Blanco isn't necessarily a one-hit or no-hit wonder. Who's your first guy, Erik?
Oh, well, first, do you have a percentage recommendation for him? How much would you bet on or bid on Blanco this week?
12.
Yep, sounds reasonable enough, especially with that changeup. He's a different guy than he used to be. Jared Jones is my top guy, and after 2 starts, I'm pretty confident that Jared Jones is an all formats type player. A 35% strikeout rate against a 4% walk rate through his first 2 outings, about as good as you can ask. He was described as a budget Spencer Strider, 1 or 2 places, which sounds different today after Spencer Strider's injury. And hey, for all we know, I've just cursed Jared Jones for next week. But the guy throws really hard and has got a repertoire led by a fastball and a slider, and it's working. Crucially, he's not walking too many guys. He walked too many guys in the minors, but again, a 4% walk rate through 2 starts. That's really promising, and that really is the thing which makes me think he is a mixed league viable pitcher as well in some of those 10 and 12 league formats. I think you can go over 10% with him too. I'd go 10 to 12.
One guy who's been on the fantasy radar for a little while now and has been Sean Manaea of the Mets. We saw in his first start 8 strikeouts, just 1 hit allowed, and 6 shutout innings against a Tigers team that's playing very well. Took a no-hitter into the 5th inning. Velocity bump last year. He also used a cutter in that first start, a pitch that he has never really used before. So I'm interested to see how that is going to work out for him as far as his repertoire goes. But Sean Manaea, given the inconsistency he's had during his career, probably still available in a good number of leagues, and I think he can definitely be mixed league viable. I would go 7-8% for him.
Yeah, let's go with James McArthur of the Royals, who got a save yesterday, and the percentage you'll have to bid on him to win him will go way up if he gets another save tonight or tomorrow before the FAAB run actually happens. But McArthur didn't get a clean 9th inning. What actually happened was Will Smith got a clean 9th inning and got into a jam. He got a strikeout, then a double, and then a walk. And they only gave him 3 batters. The Royals didn't let him get out of the frame. They turned to James McArthur, who got a ground out double play and got his 2-out save while only facing 1 batter. The reason I'm putting McArthur here is as much about Will Smith as anything. Will Smith so far has 15% strikeout rate, and the walk rate for him much higher, 25%. Walking far more batters than he struck out thus far, already being pulled from save chances, even though he did record 1 already. James McArthur was seen as the most likely next man up. McArthur, through his career, a 5.33 ERA in 27 innings, but the peripherals are much better. His SIERA down at 281. Because he doesn't walk anybody, a 2% walk rate for his career so far. So I think he's the next man up in Kansas City. And right now, I think you might only have to go 5 or 6 to get him. If he gets a couple more saves, though, you're going to have to go 16.
Brice Turang, running wild for the Brewers so far. League leading 6 stolen bases. He had 26 stolen bases last season. He's reached base 8 times in his first 6 games. He didn't hit all that well last year, his rookie season. He does sit often against lefties, bats in the lower third of the lineup, but we are talking about former top prospect. The speed is definitely legitimate. He's going to play every day against righties. The power isn't great, but Miller Park could boost that up just a little bit. Maybe he can give you double digits in home runs. And I think he's definitely going to be a stolen base asset. He's a guy who should be universally rostered. I would go in the high single digits, maybe as much as 10%.
Speaking of speed, Jose Caballero has 4 steals for Tampa as their shortstop. He's also played in every single game so far, and he's hitting 304 for good measure, but I don't care too much about a BABIP inflated batting line at this point. The main things I care about are you don't really know how much a player's going to play when he goes to Tampa Bay, so to see someone play every day through the first 7 games, that's very encouraging, and the speed is real. Last year in 280 plate appearances with Seattle, Caballero stole 26 bases. So we're talking over 50, pushing 60 if he got a full 600 plate appearances, which, hey, he might even do that. I'm not sure what else Caballero's going to do. He was not a top prospect who was expected to have a particularly good bat. He's much more of a utility man who might be a little bit more than that. But hey, if a player with that profile is going to threaten 50 steals if he gets the playing time to do it, and it looks like he might get the playing time to do it, I want in on him now. Easily would go, I think, pretty similar to Turang, 6 to 8 maybe on Caballero.
Michael Kopech's probably not going to throw enough strikes to move back to the bullpen, but he's pumping 100 miles an hour consistently. I think that this is the right role for him. We don't know for sure that he's the no questions asked closer. It's a very unsettled bullpen, but I think he's clearly the best option there, and it's a role that suits him well. Wouldn't go crazy with the bidding, but I think high single digits is perfectly fine, 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think that's fine. We're running out of guys who look like they will probably be closers and who are still out there, and even if there's no guarantee that the White Sox even have a closer, he's the closest we're going to get, so I think you got to go for him if you need saves. My next hitter here, Alex Kirilloff, is going to be owned in your deep leagues, but I was surprised at how many shallower leagues Kirilloff is still out there in, close to 90% on some of these sites. Kirilloff, I guess he doesn't play against lefties, so maybe that's part of the reason, and in shallower leagues that will hurt him. But Kirilloff's he's a legitimate talent. The question with Alex Kirilloff has always been, can he stay on the field? And nothing he's done through 1 week has told me that he can stay on the field. But he's a good enough player where you want him in your lineup until he gets hurt, and then you move on and get somebody else. So in these shallower leagues, if I had a need at first base or corner or outfield, I'm getting Kirilloff. He's batting second against every righty. I'll take a few days off against lefties. I think he can hit for decent power and average. I don't think he will still be healthy come August, but I'll figure that out in August. I want Alex Kirilloff on my team now. I don't know if he pops that much that you need to bid a ton on him, but he should be on someone's team in every single, even 10 and 12 team league, I think. So I'd go at least 3 to 5.
Charlie Blackmon, kind of running it back to one of the grizzled veterans of the Colorado Rockies, batting leadoff for them, off to a 357, 379, 536 start. Stole a base among those first 7 games. 2023 missed a lot of time with a broken hand, but he was pretty productive when healthy. OPS over 800. He's always been a great average asset. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't continue. If he continues to bat leadoff and manages to stay healthy, he's probably going to score a good number of runs. I don't know that we can necessarily count on much power at all or speed at this point in his career, but maybe you got to pick your spots with him. But his games at Coors have been very limited so far. They started out on the road and he's off to a nice start. So I think Charlie Blackmon can still be a useful 5th fantasy outfielder, and you can probably still get him pretty cheaply. I would go 2% and be pretty happy about getting him at that rate.
Yeah, I think he still belongs in shallower leagues as well.